it is 6:05 p.m. and I'm going to call our meeting to order. This is the Marinwood Community Services District Tuesday, December 10th meeting. To make a public comment at points in the meeting, when the meeting chair requests public comment, members of the public shall indicate their desire to speak. All public comments shall be addressed to the Board of Directors and limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The Board of Directors may choose to respond to comments or request staff to respond at the conclusion of the public comments. Pledge of Allegiance. All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thanks you guys. Does anybody have any questions or changes to the agenda?
I actually do not.
Okay. Lisa?
I'm good.
All right, then, all those in favor of the agenda, we're just gonna, I guess we just adopt it. Yeah. All right, with no changes, we're gonna adopt the agenda. There are currently no public members assembled, so we do not need any public comment on closed session items. At 6:07, we are gonna go into closed session. We'll return at 7 p.m.
7 o'clock.
What time it came out?
Oh, we came out at 6:45.
We came out of closed session 6:40, or start this, nope, 6:45 with no reportable actions. You guys did everything before.
Just for the record, so I can get this on, Director Kilkenny showed up at 6:23. I have to mark that in the minutes.
And showed up. I was tardy. F, consent calendar.
So moved.
Second. Can I third it?
Sure. I don't know if it will count. But I'll write your initials down.
Thanks.
Any questions? Comments?
Yes. On the
No.
bills paid.
Give me a number.
8886.
8886.
Worcester and Hoover. Was that our full allotment from the MWPA? We still have money that's
Yes.
to burn? I mean, so to speak.
No pun intended. Yes, there is still funds in there. If I am looking at this right, we probably used, that's all local funding. We probably used a little over half of our annual allotment.
Okay.
So that carries over into future years, which is kind of how we've been trying to do it. And then when we get a bigger chunk, we take on bigger projects. But at this point in time, we've kind of done the project. So now you're more into a maintenance area, which is obviously a lot less expensive than those initial treatments,
Right.
especially if you do them every 3 years or so, just come in, re-clean it up.
Right.
It's the initial treatments that cost.
Okay.
But that money is just the crew work. There was also the environmental filings and the work that had to go with that too. And then a little bit of the coordination and oversight of it all.
So all the environmental stuff they take, because they do for the whole project, it's not just Blackstone Canyon.
We, for this particular project, because we had done a full kind of environmental report that led to a notice of exemption for the prior project. So we actually amended that
Okay.
and added this section of land, because for whatever reason, that wasn't called out in the previous one, and then we just had to refile it, which is a $50 filing fee.
Cool.
Yeah,
All right.
so it wasn't a lot of extra work on that.
And then my curiosity is piqued on 8891 Los Colinas Valley Sanitary. Is that a yearly?
Yes,
Okay, so they bill us yearly.
they bill us yearly for the sewer fee, and it's based on total water consumption.
Okay.
Not counting like irrigation water, not the recycled water, just how much water goes down the drain, basically is what they allot, how they allot your sewer
Okay.
on.
And then playground.
It's a little less than I budgeted for what it's worth
Yeah.
though.
Playground equipment. There was 1,500, but what was that for the mini park?
No, it was a part that had cracked at Creekside.
Oh, creeks.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
platform that
All right.
had
We talked
gotten,
about that, I think, the last meeting.
yeah.
Yeah,
so-
because usually it's always the mini part that's getting
No,
devastated.
it was Creekside on
Okay.
this one. It looked like probably the same type of damage.
For some reason.
Yeah,
someone-
Luke can speak to it better than I can. but-
All right, that's all I had. That's all I was curious.
Yeah, it's their same playground parts, same playground, company, and oddly enough, the replacement parts are much less, breakable than the ones that get broken, so, I'd say the company has changed how they make those to prohibit that. And none of the ones we've replaced at the mini park have been broken
Oh,
again,
interesting.
so.
Okay.
That's great.
Fingers
I'm
crossed.
hoping we don't have to replace them all, but,
Yeah.
but yeah, so.
Or at least if we have to, before they then become obsolete and we can't find them.
Right.
But those are good questions. Bill, anybody else got anything else?
8876.
8876.
Is that for the new?
Which is deer,
UTV?
yeah.
Are we
That's the
doing
new-
installments?
What's that?
Installments?
No, that's the full out the door cost.
$16,000?
It's just a gator.
To Kathleen's point, you can't buy anything for $16,000 anymore, but no, that's the out the door cost on it, for the 4x6,
They found a good price. Don't question it.
or 2x6.
So they have two new UTVs?
Just the one.
I thought we budgeted for more. Okay.
I think we budgeted 17.5 on it, this is what the final thing came in as. And then they sent us the invoice really late, because we've had that thing for months,
Yeah.
before they finally
That's
said, oh
why
yeah, you
I'm
guys should
like-
probably pay for this.
Yeah, we've
Well,
had it
that's
for a
why-
long time before they actually
Yeah,
billed
that's,
us, yeah.
see, that's why I was
Yeah.
like, did you guys get another one?
Yeah, no, it's the one that they picked up shortly, I think we got it in September when it finally came in, I mean, we ordered it a long time ago.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was September.
Yeah, and
They gave
then,
you a trial period
Yeah, basically.
before.
well, it's just odd, because you're dealing with vendors, but then you get billed, you know, so, whatever.
Okay,
Worked
But
out.
yeah, no, it's the whole out the door cost.
sweet.
Yep.
So now I need to get one. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Public comment? Thank you.
Praise be.
District
matters.
Okay, so the first thing is something you guys gotta do every year in December, where you need to
Kathy, we'd like to
Elect.
say something.
nominate and elect a board president and board vice president for calendar year 2025. I put all the bylaw language in here. It's really an appointment to be made by the board, so I leave it to you guys.
Can anybody,
Commit.
You can nominate anybody you want.
I would love to nominate Mr. Chris Case.
Second.
Because he did such a great job starting this meeting,
I'll third
since
it,
our
not that
current
the third
president
is-
wasn't available.
I mean, we
Well,
all
I
rotate
think you're-
through,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. I would be proud to lead the group for you.
Yes.
I would be fine with being vice president for the meeting that you may not attend,
Next summer,
since
gonna
I
happen.
covered
It's gonna
me.
happen.
the whole summer session.
Just a few months.
You never know.
I'm gonna step in and be supportive when
Perfect.
you're here.
So then do we want to do a full motion for that, Bill, with Chris as 2025 president, Kathleen as vice?
I move to elect, what's his name? Oh, Chris Case as president and Kathleen Kilkenny as vice president.
And a second,
I'll
Lisa?
second.
Sure, second.
I'm not allowed to.
They were the original motion and second, so that's why we're just
All right,
amending.
that's fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. No turning back. To the
Can't
minutes.
vote for yourself.
Oh, you know what? I need to back up, oh, she can watch the thing. I forgot Tiffany's not here. Who motioned and seconded on the consent calendar, I'm sorry,
Bill, then Lisa.
on consent?
And I
Yes.
thirded, but
Yes.
I never count today.
I got you.
Thank
It's
you.
all right.
Super mom can only do so much today.
And then I got Bellamy on that one,
And
so.
I even took
Savant
a
did
gas
3,
yesterday.
the third one, I guess.
Gas service or gas and
Okay, and then before we move on, I just want to thank Kathleen for taking on the role for the last year. We tried to make it as easy as we can, but we appreciate it.
I want to thank, no, I'm just kidding.
The Academy.
Thank you.
But sincerely, Kathleen, thank you for
You really,
doing that for
really
the last
One,
year.
two, seven.
It was an honor.
Right, because
I learned a lot.
does
Now we
Chris
gotta
start
change the
next week?
letterhead.
Wait,
No.
does
No,
Chris start
I
the
don't
next
start
month?
Chris starts in effective January 1.
January 1, oh,
Yeah.
so then it would be, yeah.
That's all right. I'm good.
Okay,
All right,
Oh,
second
yeah,
topic.
hey, wait your turn.
moving on.
Your report.
Oh, yeah, I apologize that I did not write down anything for you all this time. I don't really have a lot, to be honest with you, so I'll just give you a couple brief verbal updates. On the bunk room, I have been in touch with some of our kind of preferred and past experience with vendor contractors. One of the generals came by, took a quick look, looked at the plans. He's actually bringing by his HVAC, his electrician, and his drywall person tomorrow morning. I'm expecting to get some level of a quote from him. This is a group we've worked with in the past very successfully, and if they can come in within range, I'm probably just gonna jump on it and say, great, let's move it. And then they are prepared to get started right after the holidays.
Perfect.
Which would be great. So, again, I know what numbers I have in my mind, I know what other numbers I've gotten informally from others, so if they can come in within that. If they don't, then I'll push it out to contractors we haven't worked with through the Builders Association or anything like that, but this is why you have preferred vendors.
Yeah.
You work with somebody, you know how good they do, you know how hard they work, and how quickly they'll get it done. And he even said he thinks he can turn it around in a couple weeks. So once we start to get some dates, we'll start to rip the beds out, we'll get that work done. And then hopefully, all things considered, by the end of January, we can have that project wrapped. Permitting is already in hand. Absolutely no movement on FEMA from the last time I talked to you all. They have had movement up until that point, but I have heard nothing further. I actually shot an email to our rep today, just saying, hey, is there any update on where?
Reminder, we've already finished all the work.
Right. We are definitely rolling now with the audit. Have been moving a lot of documents, closed out, shot them all of their trial balances. There's a lot of questionnaires we have to do, a lot of audit adjustment work that has to be done. So that is rolling. I'm still looking at more likely a February presentation for the audit.
Who do we use again?
O'Connor and Company. I am in a follow-up to a couple meetings ago, when we had talked about, and I wasn't at that meeting, but had talked about engaging with Santerfell just for the potential of a contract for service. I'm sitting down and meeting with their city manager, their chief financial officer, and the fire chief on this Thursday afternoon. So we can at least kind of lay out some groundwork, and before anybody really starts diving into it, making sure we're on the same page conceptually for what something might look like. And then we can start looking at the numbers, and as those get flushed out, obviously, all that would be coming back up to this level here. And then finally, and it's really sad because the latest weather forecast shows an 87% chance of rain up to a half inch on Saturday, but Saturday is the day that we have to do the Santa tour with fire engines and everything else, but it is dependent on not getting rained on. I've been hesitant about even putting it out via social media because every time I look at the forecast, the percentage of chance of rain goes up, and so does the expected rainfall total. Unfortunately, that's the one day that we have. Even that next Sunday, I have a commitment. The next weekend is the weekend right before Christmas. It's just always kind of a roll the dice and hope you get good weather on the day that we can herd all the cats, because we have volunteers that drive the engines. We have a volunteer Santa who was available that day. So
Do we change it to come to here and you can see Santa and the engine?
No, because we do have the thing on Friday night, which Luke will
Okay.
talk more about. Santa will be here Friday night, so there's still opportunity for people to do that. But if we can't get out and drive, half the joy of it is cruising the neighborhoods and people being able to come out front in their pajamas and everything else. I actually really look forward to it every year. It's a lot of fun, so I'm kind of disappointed on the weather, but that's all I have for you guys.
Cool.
So
Was there any way that you could put it?
a call into the weather
I was
to
gonna
the
say-
Democrats.
I was gonna say pop-up over Santa?
What's that?
A pop-up over Santa?
Not really. No, I mean, you're driving around.
It's a valid question, you don't drive that fast.
But you're driving around in the wet and the cold and the rain, and it's literally all day from 9 to 4. It's not gonna happen if it's raining. I know. It's just not gonna happen if it's
A
raining.
wet
It's raining.
rat,
In the rain? Pop-up.
a red wet rat.
Put a
Not if he's
camper-
under a 10 by 10.
Camper shell on the
Eric,
couch.
the Marinwood Plaza development was passed as it's proposed. I'm wondering if you've heard anything.
It is past compliance review
Okay,
at a planning stage.
okay,
They haven't even gotten into any level of permitting stage.
okay.
So when we were talking, building permits and all of that, if you look at the compliance review document, you'll actually see we have a letter in there on our letterhead that was submitted by Deputy Chief Robert Sinnott, just talking about the fire code aspect of it. So it's gone through that. We responded, as did MMW, the water department, the sanitary department, and then the county had a lot. However, it has one big hangup right now, in that they need sign off from the Regional Water Quality Control Board that that problem has been completely remediated, which they don't have right now. So until they can't go anywhere or do anything, can't put a single shovel in the ground until the Regional Water Quality Control Board says this issue has been completely
Wow.
resolved. So
They haven't dug out
they're,
everything.
what's that?
They haven't dug out everything.
Right. So there's still a long ways for them to go on that. So there's no use of them even going through the permitting process.
Okay, I just had gotten
Which-
an email from it and I was like, oh,
Yeah, I'm on the list. It was the compliance review, so I say which basically means your plans to this point meet these levels of compliance, not building code, any of that kind of stuff. So it's a planning level document that says, you are now free to start applying for building permits, which is a whole nother set of construction drawings. I mean, that's a lot more to it.
Send us your.
I mean, they're at least 2 years out on that.
alright, I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that I understood it. Okay.
Yeah. I would also say, as part of my thing, I actually got a phone call from the representatives, in fact, it was a little too late to go on to here, but we can do it in January, from
Daphne?
the senior center,
Oh,
the senior living. So they're still kind of going back and forth on what exactly they want that to be. He kind of said, look, at this point, we're at least another year out. We're not gonna be breaking any ground next year. They are looking at probably less memory care, more assisted living, so they still wanna change up some of what their internal plans and everything are. He reached out to me, called me completely unprompted, just said, hey, I wanna give you an update, sorry, we've been kind of in the dark. He said, I know that we're expiring. I also know that we're not gonna be able to get this done within the next year to the point where you guys are ready to go. If they would be willing to entertain a 2-year contract, I would gladly tack another 10% onto it, which I think is pretty fair. Because right now we're at 165, so you'd be adding another 16.5 to what they are, so
180.
you're 180 and change for
Yeah.
what that is, which I think is a very fair
Yeah.
thing, so I will likely put that together and bring it as an action item for the January agenda. But my point of this story more is, I appreciated the fact that we didn't have to chase them down, we didn't, you know,
That's awesome.
he called my line direct and just, the gentleman named Kent Hawkins, and just, this is where we're at, this is where we're going. Well, we've obviously missed that window, we're not gonna have things in time to, because they only have like a 6-month window that they can do any level of building too, at least as far as in that creek area goes.
Yeah. A curiosity then on the other project on the other side of the freeway, on Lucasville, off of Lucasville.
I've heard nothing further about that.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the streets and utilities, it looks like, all in right now, but,
Oh, I'm sorry, you're talking about over here.
yeah.
I thought you were talking about farther down Lucas Valley Road. No, it's still on this side of
No,
Lucas
they're
Valley Road.
building houses.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, they're moving along, they're putting
Okay.
out, they're framing.
Fine,
Did people
finally.
buy them, or they
I
traded them out beforehand?
I don't know, I
Okay.
don't know, but they're framing.
Cool, all right, I haven't driven by there since,
Yeah, no, if you drive by, especially if you look down like Ellen or Aaron or one of those, you can see, I mean, they've got 2 almost completed shells.
really?
So yeah, they're framing. And
Okay.
I think that their goal is to use those as models.
Do they know that that's in Marinwood?
Mhm.
Because they call it at Lucas Valley.
Because they want more money.
Right.
The
Oh,
Lucas
that's
Valley
on
Road.
video, but I'm just saying.
Right.
Yeah.
They're
If you
not-
look at the
And it's
name-
off the Lucas Valley Road exit.
Right.
Well, they have a street right off of Lucas Valley, they have that going straight in.
Right.
Yeah, that
That would
won't
be
be
closed
opened
up,
up.
yeah.
But you
that's-
can't go in,
that
you're
would
not
be
just going
emergency,
from around
yeah.
there.
No, I got that, but, and it's curious, is they gonna keep that open then? After
It won't be
when they
open,
finish? When they finish?
It'll be gated off in some
No,
way,
it's
shape, or form.
emergency only.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay,
I would assume.
interesting.
But there's not, it's definitely not gonna be connecting to Lucas Valley Road there. The only way in and out will be Aaron Drive.
Okay.
Lucky you're
But it's the people on Ellen that are more impacted because they're just gonna be looking, I mean, this is like their backyard now, it's.
I know the people that live at the end of that street, and they've actually said it's been a pretty, for what it is, it's been a pretty good relationship.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I think they've made a lot, and I know that the person at the end of Aaron, they like completely remodeled and almost made it look a little bit more like the other one, and I think it's hitting the market soon, or hit the market or whatever, so, yeah. Anyway, neither here nor there, not much to do with us, but I don't have any sense of timing on that, Bill, I don't know where they're at in the sales process, but I do know that
online.
they're moving along. Because, yeah, they've got a couple shells up now, so they're framing and getting.
And that doesn't impact us from, I mean, it's just,
Not till it's.
It will impact us to some degree once they're done and sold, and it will, in theory, impact the overall ad valorem, but the way that ad valorem is spread out, there's not gonna be a huge impact to us from that. Where it'll be impacting us will be on our special assessments.
right.
So right now, those lots are just considered undeveloped, so they're on the per acreage charge, but then they'll go to the square footage charge.
Okay.
And then they'll also pick up the park, special assessment,
Okay.
which is per unit. Some of those are, most of them actually are 2
Multi-
units each, because they'll have,
Yeah, I think
they'll have
they're ADUs
registered,
for
they'll have registered
several.
ADUs.
Okay.
It's 28 lots, 24 of them have ADUs.
Wow, okay.
So, you know, you're talking about 50 units basically,
Okay.
because some of them are also gonna be duplexes too.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, those are be on the more affordable side.
Interesting.
Mhm.
So I'm like,
It's
okay.
relative, it's relative.
Enough talking.
Right.
Right, so, yes, so that will, and then, you know, the streetlight
Right.
assessment too.
Right.
But there's all of 2 streetlights going in there,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Good.
2, yeah. One in the middle of the road and one at the
Top
top.
of the top.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah, originally they had a lot more, we actually scaled them back on that, in cooperation with the county. So you don't need, and I think the neighbors were a lot happier about that too.
Right. Okay.
Department matters.
Alright, moving on to fire, you got the minutes, any thoughts or questions? I will say, the commission did a walkthrough of the fire department. I actually want to acknowledge Ryan Brackett, who was on duty that day, kind of led the walkthrough. I thought he did a really good job with it, personally, and was just very informative, answered all the questions, had a really, was very welcoming to them, and it just provided what I thought was a positive interaction. And I told him afterward that I thought he did a really good job with it, and the commissioners were really happy to be able to kind of do that. Some of our commissioners know the fire department very well in the fire station, you know, John especially, Surratt, who spent many, many years in the ball. And then for the Steve and for Pascal, it was nice for them to be able to walk through and kind of show them the bunk room and what that's gonna look into, because they got it all taped where the things are gonna go. So I think they appreciated being able to walk through and see everything. Otherwise, any other questions on here?
It just says in the, under item 6, resuming a revised volunteer training and recruitment program.
So what they have done, we haven't had an actual fire commission meeting for a while because we've had a hard time with quorums. We had one meeting that we expected a quorum and that didn't happen, so we still talked a little bit. We have formed a working group that consists primarily of Greg Stilson and John Surratt, as well as support from myself and the fire chief. And the whole notion behind this working group was to, you know, kind of come up with ideas for initiatives that the commission could explore that, you know, in theory, add value to the department, to the district, and to the community. You know, the fire side is a little bit different than, say, the park and rec side, because it's very much more regimented over there, where the park and rec, you know, have had some pretty good projects to be involved in, the playground most recently and everything else. So this was kind of Greg Stilson's brainchild, which I appreciated, that just trying to give them a little bit more, I don't want to say meaning behind it, but, you know, more than just come in, approve some minutes, get updates, but actually be able to sink their teeth and work in on stuff. So the three things that we've kind of initially identified, one is kind of a low-hanging fruit of, you know, trying to look into it and see if it's at all possible for emergency response billing opportunities. Chief Roman provided a pretty good update on that and let us know that for Santa Fe, all their billing off is when they transport somebody to a hospital or to a medical facility, and then they're just billing insurance, and they collect maybe 20% of what they send out, if that. He said they maybe get 25,000 a year off of these transports. I don't know that there's any opportunity to bill for emergency response from the engine company, or what that would look like, or how. It's just something to explore at this point in time, so we'll look into that a little bit. The other thing that we had talked about, and a lot of this was in light of, you know, we've kind of had some openings, and recruiting paramedics has been challenging. The potential of, you know, need, I'll say, to look at operating as a basic life support engine company as opposed to an advanced life support engine company. You'll still go for the goal of trying to hire paramedics, but I think it's better not to have long-term vacancies, but to get a highly qualified EMT in there, which is still a heightened level of medical professional, but not paramedic. And kind of some of the big differences are the skills that they can employ. You know, they can't start IVs, they can't administer drugs, they can't do any of that kind of stuff as a BLS. You have to be a certified paramedic to do that. But the ratio of paramedic need calls versus general medical assist calls, it's something we want to look at. You know, what is the cost benefit of it? You know, because that one call that the paramedic is on that winds up saving the life,
It's worth it, yeah.
it outweighs the 50 calls they weren't needed, you know, or the 500 calls or whatever, you know. So it's just something we wanted to kind of explore. A lot of that, again, was just felt that we have had some longer term vacancies. Hiring paramedics has been a challenge. For whatever reasons, we have been getting an influx of applicants lately. We do have, and you'll see in the chief report, at least 2, if not hopefully a 3rd interview lined up for this week. And then hopefully we'll be able to push out some updated recruitment materials and really blast that everywhere, including some of these pay-to-play type sites, and just get as much visibility. The goal is still to bring in paramedics,
Right.
but the larger goal is, if we can't bring in paramedics, or you bring in a paramedic for a year before they bounce to somewhere else and we're right back to square one, does it make sense to go for a hot egg? Because everybody's trying to hire paramedics outside the season. So you kind of have your, you'd have some really high quality applicants that just don't have their paramedic for whatever the case may be, but it doesn't mean they're not an incredibly high quality EMT firefighter.
Cool.
So, and then the third thing, to your point, Chris, was looking at, again, kind of stemming back to the same thing we were just talking about, the possibility of revamping, revising, and relaunching some level of like a training, recruitment, volunteer type program. It'd be much more scaled back. I mean, at one point they had, 20 balls going through that thing at a time. It would be a lot of work. It's just, everything right now is just, we're throwing things against the wall to see what the commission as a whole thought about it. Should this kind of be explored further, and what does that mean? We're planning on getting together again as this group shortly after the holidays. Whoever is on duty and the shop steward will invite them to sit in on these as well, because ultimately we want to be doing things that's going to benefit them as firefighters, the department as a whole, the district as a whole, the community as a whole. But they'll have some valuable input even with the chief sitting in on it. So those were the three kind of things that stuck.
Okay.
Years ago, when I was on the fire commission, we had a couple meetings that were joint with the San Rafael Fire Commission.
We had one, yeah.
They had talked about working with the San Rafael Fire Department and the commission to find grants and kind of doing a lot of work to fill out the grants to get things that.
Yeah, I don't
Is that
know
something?
where that's really run. I don't think that their commission is doing a lot on the grant side. They have a
Okay.
foundation
Okay.
that was kind of born through the commission, which is
Yeah.
kind of what the commission is. But to answer your question, no, that really hasn't gone much of
Okay,
anywhere.
because I was just thinking like because they were talking years ago about like that they got new exercise equipment for the guys or other various things that they needed that then was taken off the plate of what we needed to pay as a city.
Yeah, and we have gotten
So
some
I
things
didn't know
like
if that was
that.
something that they wanted to do.
Like when we did the tour,
Yeah,
everybody's favorite toy was this infrared scanner thing. That next thing I know, I had a bunch of commissioners running around with an infrared camera, like trying to find hot spots in places. So there are still opportunities like that. Unfortunately, a lot of the bigger ones are more kind of federal type grants, and those are a lot more work. Then the Firehouse Subs grant got, I think, those cameras, and we've gotten a couple of other grants and
Okay.
things, so.
Yeah, I was just
But I
trying to
can
think of-
follow up on it with the chief, especially as we're, things like when we gotta replace all of the SCBA's.
yeah, and maybe, because we had also talked about years ago about doing more meetings with the San Rafael Fire Commissioners group too, so that we. can-
Yeah, they meet once a quarter, I believe.
Yeah.
I can
I mean,
follow up on
this
that.
is pre-COVID, so everything's different, but
Yeah.
yeah.
We can follow up. Any other questions on the meeting? Not a lot to the chief report, if we can move on, if you don't mind. Again, to kind of update, we do have some interviews lined up, people coming in. The new radio system is up and running with Mira. That's had, as you would expect, some hiccups here and there with implementation and effectiveness, but they are working those out. I actually have a Mira meeting tomorrow, so I should be getting some more updates on where that is, and then you can see the stats, and then otherwise, not much else on the other items. All the prevention work and things is wrapped up for the season.
Questions, comments, concerns?
Oh, you went out for us this
There's a lot of rain.
month. I know.
It's the assist policy.
6 months is still great.
I said it's the assist policy in
Yeah.
our area. All right, Luke, are you ready?
Ready?
It's all you.
Great, thank you. Well, big news for the recreation department is our annual Jingle Bell Jazz Winter Holiday Concert this Friday from 5 to 6:30. We're really excited for that, and kind of putting the final decorations up, and everything's pretty much ready to go for that. It's gonna be another great event. We have a live band playing holiday music. We will have arts and crafts for the kids. Santa will be here, and there'll be photos. We'll take photos of Santa. I think we didn't do this until, this is new this year, we'll have a food truck serving Mexican food. It'll be, I think it's the Pupuseria truck, which is the best food truck. And we'll have other snacks and treats and things, so it should be a great time. We're hoping to make use of our patio and surrounding area outside the reception hall, but if the rain comes early, we're prepared to have everything fully indoors. So staff have been hard at work getting all the supplies and getting everything ready for that, so that'll be this Friday. We're excited for that. And then our next community event will be March 1st. It'll be our annual winter wine tasting, our Raise a Glass event. And that planning is going on for that. We already have, I think, all the wineries secured, which is really early for us to have all of them. I'm not sure what's going on with the wine industry, but they're all like chomping at the bit to come to our event, which usually we have to send out, 5 times the amount of invites to get the full house.
It's because it's our event.
Yeah, they just want to come. So that's good. We're excited for that, and I'll announce more details in the coming months for that. But we had a Thanksgiving break, a couple of Thanksgiving break camps take place the week when school was out. They were both contract camps. One was a sports camp that had to be mostly run indoors because of the weather and the wet fields. The other one was a Lego camp that was well attended and ran in here. And so those went well. We're also running winter break camp over the week between Christmas and New Year's, and that was showing pretty strong enrollment. I think we're offering it to ages 3 to 11. And we've got a bunch of our summer staff back home from break that are going to be helping us run that. So that'll be fun to see all of them, and that'll be a good time. Kids will be doing a lot of summer camp activities indoors as weather forces us, but otherwise we'll be out in the park as well. And when we have all these staff in town on their winter breaks, Robin and JP are always really good about bringing them in, besides when they're working camp, but to do some planning for summer. And a lot of the staff members will come in for interviews for higher up camp and pool positions. So camp counselors looking to be senior counselors, or assistant directors, and pool staff looking to be senior lifeguards, and other types of positions down there. We'll be able to interview for those positions, and it's a great time to take advantage of seeing all these folks that are back. So we're looking forward to seeing all of them. The staff are also working on the Marinwood review for our spring summer edition. And which it seems really wild to be thinking about spring summer right now, but we put that out typically as close to the beginning of February as we can, or late January. So we're finalizing all the summer camp themes and field trips, and all the pool schedule, and all the different classes we'll be offering this spring, and all the special events. So we're finalizing everything for that, and we're hoping to get that out as early as possible, so people have all of our info in time to register for camp and swim lessons and all of that. We haven't finalized all those dates yet, but they'll likely be in mid to late February for open registration. We'll have all the info out well before that. So staff are really working hard at that, and it's coming together. I'm feeling very optimistic about everything ready to go. So for the rec side, that's what's been going on with them. On the park maintenance side, we've been doing some storm prep this week. After the last big heavy rain, things actually, our drains and everything handled the historic amount of water really well. I think the ground was dry enough going into that it really soaked everything up, and we didn't really see issues with drainage or with the creek, and so that was very good. Right now the staff are out there in the park. We're installing some drainage by one of the compromised areas at the edge of the park here that we have had some erosion over the years. Trying to divert water away from pouring over that and taking a lot of the dirt away. We actually have done really well with our plantings. We're bringing a natural slope back to that, what used to be a sheer cliff is now looking like an incline, which is what we want to see. So we're trying to make sure that we don't have all that new dirt that's piled up and wash away. So we're hoping to have that drain in place before the guys leave tomorrow, because we're going to get a bunch of rain tomorrow night. So that's going really well. I think we'll be good for that, so that'll be really helpful for that area. We've also been doing some additional willow plantings on some of the areas, and we'll continue that throughout the month of December and January to shore up some of these areas that have gotten eaten away by the creek. But ultimately, things are looking pretty good from a storm mitigation front, and we'll continue to monitor everything as we get some more rain. The Les Mize Memorial Bench, I believe, will be arriving, I think this week, if not next week. I got a shipping notification. Usually it comes within about a week of that. I got it last week, so expecting the bench to show up any day now. And we have to install the plaque on it, and then we'll put it out in the park. So we're looking forward to that. That should be happening soon, maybe next week is most likely. The guys also got the lights up all around the building and the patio, and we've got
Very exciting.
already holiday ready.
Festive.
And it's very festive, yeah. So we've had a couple, I guess, holiday parties. The Lions Club had their big hurrah. Was that last week? Yeah, that was. I think it's good for that.
Their big roar.
All the classes are really excited to have the lights up for their classes in the preschools. It's been good, so we're happy about that. And then lastly, just we've had some tree work going on this week. We had some trees in the Pinewood to Miller Creek walking path trimmed, and a couple trees taken out that were compromised. And also the guys, the company over working on our property on Westgate, there's a couple trees that came down and some drainage over there that they were taking out today. That's been great. So that's what I wanted to report on, but maybe if you have any questions or anything else you'd like to discuss. Thank you.
On the Les Mize, is the family going to be notified, and are they going to have a ceremony?
Yeah, I've been in touch with them, and they know that we're waiting on the bench any day now. They've seen the plaque, and so as soon as the bench is here, ready to go, they'll be alerted that it's ready to, it's up and ready. So they'll probably do a celebration for that. So I've been in touch with them every step of the way.
Thank you.
The plaque came out really good.
Awesome.
Yeah, really, really good. I mean, they put some design elements into it, and it was really nice.
Is it here?
It's down at the shop, but yeah, it was really nice.
That walking up in the dark before our closed session, our community center was very inviting and warm, and thank you for putting all this up.
Yeah, no, that's great. We're really happy with it. I'm kind of going to leave it up like year round, you know. We'll probably take the colored lights.
Minus the electricity cost, right?
Right.
It's hardly anything.
I don't know, we don't have lights, so.
I keep mine up
Is
for you.
there any questions for Luke?
No,
Comments, thoughts, praise?
I mean,
Always.
all
Always.
praise.
Thank you for you and your whole crew. Board member items of interest requested for future agenda items. Sweet. Meeting adjourned.
But hold on. One thing I just want to put in your mind, for the January meeting, it's typically when we have liaison appointments to the commissions. So just kind of get everybody's head thinking about that. I know Kathleen and Chris have both been fire and park and rec respectively for at least the last 3 years, I think.
Good job. Maybe have somebody else.
Just, if you have questions about it or whatever, or there's something the department you want to learn more about, ask me, and then you can thumb wrestle with them to see if they'll give it up.
There we go.
But that'll be on the agenda for next month.
Great.
Yes, so